but this can be your year. You just have to decide that you're done with the excuses. You're ready to get in the best shape of your life, look your best, feel your best, start showing up at your actual best this year. I'm going to get it together. I'm going to try some new things. I'm going to, get a new plan. I'm going to figure it out so I can start showing up at my best. Welcome to another episode of the JJ Velasquez Show. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how to actually crush your fitness goals in 2026. We're approaching the end of the year now. We're about ready to start a new year. And I'm going to give you my best tips, my best strategies on how to actually accomplish your fitness goals this year. Everybody says this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year it changes it all. This is going to be the year I get in my best shape. And for lots of us, that doesn't happen. So I'm going to go over the strategies on what to do, also the biggest mistakes that I see people make so you can avoid those. And then also so you can leave with a clear strategy on how to actually, get closer towards your goals this year and actually accomplish those goals. So first off, I do want to mention that, I'm not just blowing smoke. I've been training since I've been in high school myself. For those of you that haven't followed my journey, I've done multiple cuts myself. In fact, last time this year, I did a cut down to 10% body fat. I dropped over 30 pounds, got super lean. I've also done a lean bulk. I've done many cuts, and I've also helped over 800 clients as well do the same thing. So I'm talking from real life experience, what I've seen work best, not only for myself, my clients, but lots of others as well too. And I want to give you some real actionable tactics and strategies that you can use this new year, because it's one thing to say, hey, this is going to be the year. I'm going to get in good shape. I'm going to finally make it happen. But with no game plan, with no structure, it's just a wish. So first off, I'm going to be talking about the biggest mistakes that I see, not only just the new year, but just in general with fitness, and that way we can not make these mistakes and actually accomplish these goals this new year. So first things first, the biggest mistake I see is when people, they get all gung-ho, it's a new year and they want to just do the most extreme shits. They want to go from 0 workouts to 6 days a week to 7 days a week. They want to cut out all their carbs. They just want to go gung-ho, but we have to realize, and the biggest thing that I want you to take from this is the mindset. We shouldn't have a quick fix mindset. Hey, I want to drop 30 pounds in 30 days. It's just not realistic. It's not sustainable. So the first thing we have to start off is just, hey, let's take the timeline out of it. Let's figure out a game plan that works for me, that we can actually stick to long term. So one thing I never recommend is, if you are doing 0 workouts right now, I definitely don't recommend trying for 6 days, for 7 days. In fact, you don't even need that much days. I personally work out about 4 days a week myself right now. I've seen lots of clients do well 3 days a week, 4 days a week as well too. So if you're just starting out, I recommend start off with something easy. If if you're not going any days right now, start off with 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever it is. Just start off with something simple. It could also be as simple as a walk. Just doing something, going from nothing to something. Now, if you are working out already and you're working out 4 or 5 days a week, okay, good. We can stick with that same workload. But I want to get away from going from 0 to 100 because it's just a recipe for failure. It's just not realistic long term. So, that's just start off at a reasonable pace, number one. And then when we talk about an actual game plan and actually getting results, another reason that I see people struggle is, they want to make these diet changes and they do the same thing. They go from eating like shit, eating whatever they want to eating piles of lettuce, just a salad every single day and just, starving themselves, cutting out way too much, cutting out bread, cutting out this, cutting out this. Hey, that's not realistic as well either. Yeah, you can maybe do it for, 2 weeks, a month or whatever it is, but my philosophy is if you can't stick with it long term, it's not a long-term solution. And it goes the same way. We don't need to cut out all that stuff. What we have to do is just learn exactly, what to eat, how much to eat, and things like this. So we want to get away from all the fad diets. I don't recommend any of those myself. In fact, I've tried a lot of those over the years. I've done everything: keto, vegan, fasting, everything out there. I've pretty much tried it. Why do I recommend none of that? Because, even I failed on it or I was able to do it for a little bit and I was moody. I felt like shit. My workouts were shit, so it's just like these are all quick fix things that never really work long term. Can we realistically cut out carbs for, a whole year or for it's just not realistic. And why would we want to? We don't even have to. The reason why you'll see some people maybe lose weight in the beginning when they do that is because carbs store water. So when we cut out carbs, yeah, you lose some water weight. It's not actual fat loss, it's water weight. So, I try to get everyone away from cutting out a whole entire food group, even, carnivore, all these things where we're just cutting out so much. It's just unrealistic and it's not necessary. So, I recommend you definitely don't do any of this extreme diets, and it's all about just, small changes. If you're eating fast food 5 days a week, even going down to 3 days a week, 2 days a week, that's a good change. If you're drinking alcohol multiple times a week, cutting that down in half, could be a good change. Just these small changes is what I see really help lots of people long term. But when you try to go, like I said, 0 to 100, and you just, starving yourself, and you're suddenly fasting for 16 hours, and it's just not realistic long term. And that's another reason I see people fail long term. They'll lose a little bit of weight and then they gain it right back, and then maybe even more, because they've deprived themselves of those foods. So we want to just get away from all the fad diets. That's not necessary in anything that's extreme. It's just not realistic. Like I said, I failed with all that stuff before. I've done that for years and years and years, and all it left me was, feeling like shit. My workout suffered, my mood. So now I've got in lean shape. In fact, on my cut down to 10% body fat, I wasn't doing any extreme diets. I wasn't, cutting out entire food groups. I wasn't fasting for hours. I was just eating the right amounts for my goals. And we'll talk about that here in a second. And I just did my workouts. I stayed consistent. And that's what all it took. I got to 7% body fat. That's very lean. I had six-pack abs and without doing any of the extreme diets. So why would you want to do that when it's not necessary? So I try to get everyone away from that. And lastly, another big mistake I see people make is they just go in with no game plan. They're doing random workouts. They're doing random things with the nutrition. They're just, watching what to eat. They're eating clean, whatever that means. You're watching what you eat. Like that's not a realistic solution. Even cutting out even this fasting and stuff, that's not a realistic solution because you still don't know how much you're eating. And that's the biggest thing that we need for our goals. Because I see lots of people too, even if we are eating healthy, if we're still eating too much, we never lose fat. If we eat too little, well, then, you could sacrifice lots of muscle. You could slow down your metabolism. I've done one of those horrible diets back in the day when I was eating like 1,500 calories and I looked skinny as hell. I lost lots of muscle. I felt like crap. My hormones got messed up. Lots of stuff that can happen when we just, cut out all our calories and things like that. So we want to try to avoid all that stuff. But what I'm getting to is we want to go in with the actual game plan. If you're new to working out, you don't want to just go in there and do random workouts, because another reason people fail is they don't see results. And what happens when you're not seeing your results? Well, you give up, you quit. So the best way to see some results is, like I said, is actually following a game plan. And then I'm talking about workouts. Nowadays there's YouTube, there's coaches, there's tons of tips, there's strategies, there's ChatGPT. Like you can find workout plans anywhere. So I'm always a big fan of doing something like following some clear structure for your goals compared to just going in there and just hopping around doing random stuff. Like I always say, when you wing it with your workouts, you get winging it results. So if your goal is weight loss, your goal is muscle gain, whatever it is, you want to find a clear game plan for that exact goal. And not only just with your workouts, like I said, for your nutrition as well too, because when you go in with the actual game plan, you stay consistent. Well, dang, next thing you know, you start getting results. It's a lot easier to stick with it. Like I said, the reason so many people fail the new year is they just go into the gym and they're just like, I'm just going to bounce around. I'm going to do this one little workout I saw on, Instagram. And it's not a realistic game plan. So that's the biggest thing. But if you go in with the actual game plan, you don't do any of these extreme diets, you actually find something that you can stick to sustainably. Well, hey, now you're on the right track. So with all that said, let's get into, exactly how you can get results, how I've helped lots of men, like I said, myself as well. And I'll tell you, even like I was just mentioning, on my cut down to 10% body fat, I wasn't just winging it with my workouts. I wasn't winging it with my nutrition. I knew exactly how much I need to be eating, down to the calories, down to the proteins and all that stuff. And I just had the mindset of like, hey, I don't want to bust my ass all week to not get any results from it. So I'm going to do what it takes. If it requires me, tracking my food, weighing my food, why would I not? I'm busting my ass in the gym for an hour a day. I can't spend 2 minutes to track my food, to weigh my food, or to do whatever it takes. I just have that mindset of like, hey, like I said, I'm kicking my ass in the gym. I want to see some results for it. So, if we're putting that work in the gym, make sure you put in that same level of effort into your nutrition, because we all know nutrition is, 70 to 80% of the results. We can't outwork a bad diet. So we just want to, actually have a game plan and structure with that. Like I said, I'm a coach myself. I've helped hundreds of men, even some women as well, myself included, and I still do this stuff. Of course, I'm good at eyeballing it. I've measured this stuff. I've weighed this stuff, but it takes literally 30 seconds. And if it can help you get that much better results, it's worth it. And some of you might be saying, "Oh, I don't want to weigh my food. I don't want to track my food." Well, do you want to keep working out and getting no results? Especially if you've never tracked your food or anything like that, it's great for awareness. I see lots of people start tracking their food and, oh, damn, I didn't realize I was eating that much, or I didn't realize I was eating that little. It starts to give you some clarity. Like, are you actually hitting your protein goal? Are you hitting your calorie goal? If you've never done that, you don't know. And that's probably why you're stuck. So that's one of the first things I always help these men with, and I do myself, because also when I see clients tracking their food and stuff, I'm able to give them different suggestions, different ideas on how to hit their protein, how to make it work with their lifestyle, because we actually have data to work with. And then I have them weigh in every single week. Okay, are we making consistent progress every week? Great. Okay, we don't need to change anything. We get to a point where we're getting stuck or we plateau. Okay, well, now we know what kind of adjustments we need to be making. Maybe it's to the activity level, maybe it's to the calories, to the macros, because we actually have data to work with. So that's one of the reasons, we're able to get such results, because we can, like I said, we have data to work with. If I have no clue what's going on with your nutrition, if you have no clue how much you're eating and the weight's still staying the same, well, you don't even know how much you're eating, Monday through Friday, on the weekends, whatever it was. So that's the biggest thing that's going to help you out, is just having some clear structure. Like I said, with your workouts, do you need to add in cardio? How many steps are you doing? Like, lots of that stuff can go a long way, but just to start off simple, start off with the baseline, and, weigh in once a week. You don't need to weigh in every single day. That your weight's going to fluctuate daily based on water weight. If you had some more carbs, salts the day before, there's lots of things that can make your weight fluctuate. So I just have my guys weigh in once a week. And then you just assess every couple of weeks. Hey, I'm doing this much workouts. I'm doing this much cardio. I'm eating this much food. What kind of results are we making? And then you just make the adjustments based off of that. But like I said, the biggest thing that I see, I've heard it all. These men, oh, I'm low on time. Low motivation. Every excuse out there, I've heard it. But what do I see help all these guys? Just having clear structure with exactly what to do. Now you know what to do with your workouts when you go to the gym. You're tracking your workouts, you're tracking your nutrition, and then pretty soon, you start having that awareness. You start eating the right amounts. You're able to stay consistent because you're seeing results. Well, next thing you know, hey, you're down 20 or 30 pounds. You're looking a lot better, and we keep it going from there. But so it's one thing, like I said, having clear structure, having the workouts, knowing what to do with your nutrition. But one thing I will say as well, lots of times people know they need to work out. They know they need to move more. They know, maybe they even know some workouts. Maybe they even know what they need to be doing with the nutrition, but they're not doing it. So lastly, we talk about the implementation process. One of the things that I see help lots of people is just actually not only having the structure to follow, but having some accountability. I check in with these guys regularly. I'm on them. I have them weigh in once a week. So they're very, I keep tabs on them. Sometimes your friends, your family, no one's pushing you to do better. No one's checking in with you if you slip, if you miss a workout. No one's there to push you. No one's there to help you get back on track. No one's there to help you stay consistent. So I see lots of times just having that accountability is huge. And maybe maybe you're going to find a new gym partner. Maybe you are going to work with me, an online trainer, a coach, or somebody that can actually help hold you accountable. Whatever it is, but sometimes just that accountability. Maybe you're going to post on social media your goals and what you're going to accomplish. I share lots of my journey. In fact, I shared my whole, road to 10% journey. I put it on YouTube. I put it on my Instagram because I wanted to let people know that, hey, this is what I'm going to accomplish. And next thing you know, I did it. There was lots of accountability there. My clients were watching me, people on YouTube, lots of people. So it's just like, there's no way I'm not going to show up. Like I put it out there. I'm going to do what it takes. And And I did, and I was doing, lots of stuff. I was weighing my food, tracking, doing cardio, like all this stuff. But having that accountability helped me. And so sometimes for you, just having that accountability can help you stay on track, can help push you. And lots of times you see sometimes just people investing in themselves. Now they get a little skin in the game. Now they're going to take it serious. We all know what happens with free. There's tons of free information on YouTube. You can go find a workout right now. Why are so many people out of shape? They got no skin in the game. They don't have that accountability, that push. Like I say, the information is one thing, but the implementation is where people actually start to see results, and things like that. So having that accountability, having the structure, staying consistent, it all goes hand in hand. And that's why I see lots of guys, with every excuse, like I said in the beginning, oh, I was low on time, low on energy, I don't know what to do, like whatever it was. Well, how do they get in shape? Exactly those three things. They had the structure, they had me checking in, the accountability, the support to push them to help them become better men in the process, to become more disciplined, to become more consistent, just to actually follow through on what they said they're going to do. And a lot of it is just changing their mindset. Maybe you failed in the past. Maybe this is, hey, oh, January 1st. Maybe you've said that for multiple years. Maybe you've been trying to accomplish this for multiple years. Maybe it's been years since you've actually liked the way you looked in the mirror. So you maybe need some outside support, some accountability. Like I always say, if you could have done it on your own, you would have already done it. So maybe you need to try something new. Maybe, and lots of times I see for people, maybe they were in shape back in the day, but your lifestyle changed. Now you got kids, you got a busy career, you don't have 2 hours to work out a day anymore. You got some different lifestyle changes. Well, we just got to show you how to make it work around that. I got guys that work out from home, guys that work out while they travel. Like there's always a solution. Guys that are coming back from injuries. It's just really about building a system that works for your lifestyle. And that's what I see help these guys. Like I said, guys that haven't been in shape in years, or like the way they see it, settling, they're disciplined, they're consistent. I had one guy that quit drinking, he quit smoking. He's lost like 30 pounds now. He's just a whole different man in the process. And that's exactly what I say. It's never just about hitting a number on the scale. It's about the man you become in the process. And when you lose that weight, when you show yourself what you're capable of, you're going to be damn proud. So it's always going to be worth it. Which brings me to my last point. Why do you want to get in shape? Why do you want to lose this weight? Why do you want to build this muscle? Why is this fitness goal important to you? If you just say, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, big deal. But if you say, hey, you know what? I want to be a better role model for my kids. I want to feel confident with my shirt off. I want to show my kids, hey, this is the dad that, this is your dad. I'm the fit dad. I want to be healthy. I want to be energy. I want to be able to play sports with my kids. I want to maybe have more sex with my wife. I want to feel confident with my shirt off. I want to be respected at work. I want to look in the mirror and be like, fuck yeah, man, this is me. I'm proud of who I see in the mirror. I've earned this body. Whatever it is, we have to dig deep on, your why, on why you're doing this. Like I say, if you're just trying to hit a random number on the scale, cool, whatever. But for most guys that I talk to, their why is deeper. They got family, they got kids, they got a spouse, they got a wife, or maybe they're a single dad as well, like me. And they just want to, have that confidence just to show up best at the workplace. For I got clients relying on me and stuff too, but maybe for you, it is just, hey, you know what? This is going to be the year I want to make it happen. I want to get in the best shape of my life. I want to look my best, feel my best, be proud of what I am. And hey, we always know that we attract our best when we're feeling our best. When we look good, we feel good. We're in better moods. We show up better for the people that need us. And, for lots of my clients as well, they're inspiring others as well now too. They have lost a bunch of weight and people are asking them, damn, how do you do it? Their family, their friends, their kids are doing workouts now too, because they've inspired them, and that's what it's all about. And, so I ask you to dig deep, and maybe you have some health problems coming up, or they're borderline and you just want to get it together before it gets any worse. Maybe you got kids that you want to be around for a long time. Maybe you got grandkids, that you just want to show up and be healthy, and maybe, walk your daughter down the aisle, or, just whatever it is for you. I ask you to get serious on your why, because that's what's going to drive you. When you're tired, when you're low on motivation, you're going to have to dig deep. But when you know why, like, hey, you know what? I'm going to become that man this year. I'm going to become that dad, to be that role model that you deserve. I'm going to be that husband, and give that woman we say we love so much, the best example of me. So maybe it's for someone else. Maybe it's for you. like I said, maybe you just are like, hey, you know what? I just want to decide that this is going to be the year. I'm going to get it together. I'm going to try some new things. I'm going to, get a new plan. I'm going to figure it out so I can start showing up at my best. So when we, like I said, just having that deep why of knowing exactly why we're doing this, we get some accountability, someone to keep us on track. We have a clear game plan on what to do with workouts, with nutrition. We're staying consistent. Well, damn, that's all it takes. And pretty soon, 2026 was your year. So if you're serious about making it happen this year and you want me to help you out, you need a game plan with the workouts, with the nutrition. You need some structure. You need some accountability to make it work with your life. Send me a message saying 2026. I'll know what that means, but this can be your year. You just have to decide that you're done trying to figure it out on your own. You're done with the excuses. You're ready to get in the best shape of your life, look your best, feel your best, start showing up at your actual best this year. Now you have a game plan of exactly what to do. Like I said, you have someone on you to stay consistent, support you, make it work with your lifestyle. And hey, this could be the year. So if that sounds like you and you're ready to make it happen this year, like I said, just drop me a message saying 2026, or you can book a call with me below. We'll talk more about it and see if we can make you my next success story as well. And looking forward to seeing all of us crush our goals in 2026. Let's get it.
I lost 50 pounds and 10 inches around my waist.
And you helped me get the results.
In 3 months working with JJ, I lost 34 pounds.
I'm down a total of over 80 pounds.
And I lost 30 pounds. 30 pounds. And I'll tell you, it changed my life. Right now, I feel great. I have energy. I don't feel sluggish anymore.
3 months, I went from 202 to 182. I've leaned out, my stomach's flat. I'm so happy with the results.
I've been on JJ's workout program for 6 months. I started at 260 pounds. I am now down to 207.
Since lost 43 pounds.
And it was the smartest move I could have made for myself.
And it was the best thing I ever did. I really feel that for any man over 40 years old that feels sluggish, you feel stuck, you have a plateau, I can't break through, I feel JJ is definitely the man to go to.
Do it. You're never too old. I was 54 when I started this, and I'm in the best shape of my life.